The galaxy was never quiet for long. Somewhere, in the black sea of stars, there was always war, trade, or secrets waiting to be uncovered. But on this night, the alien scout ship Veora drifted in near silence. This crew of 7 thought this mission would be boring, just another patrol along empty lanes. They were wrong. It began when the sensors picked up a shadow. Not an asteroid, not wreckage. It was too perfect, too sharp. A shape, metallic and massive, floating in the void without a single signal or beacon. The pilot frowned. "Captain, there's something out there." The crew gathered around the holoscreen. The image appeared blurry at first, but as the system adjusted, the outline became clear. A huge vessel, silent as death, stood against the stars. It did not move. It did not respond. It only floated. Another dead ship? One of them guessed. But their voices did not carry confidence. The captain leaned forward, his mandibles clicking in thought. The surface of the strange vessel looked armored, built for battle. No lights shone from its windows. No energy leaked from its engines. It seemed abandoned, and yet, there was something about it that felt alive. Then the navigator's voice trembled. "Sir, look closer. That design, it's human." The word struck the crew like a blade. Humans. The council often laughed at them. A young species, small in numbers, reckless in their rise. Their colonies were scattered, their fleets considered laughable compared to the great empires. Many called them children with toys. But whispers, always whispers, told a darker story. Some claimed human ships had survived against entire pirate fleets. Some claimed humans built weapons not for defense, but for vengeance. Now, in the emptiness of space, the crew stared at one of those whispers made real. The ship was too large for a frigate, too sharp for a freighter, and too silent for comfort. It looked like a predator waiting in the shadows, watching. "Why is it here?" the youngest officer whispered. The captain forced calm into his voice. "It doesn't matter. Begin a scan. The council will want data." The crew hesitated. Even the scanning officer's claws trembled as he adjusted controls. "If it's alive, scan it," the captain repeated, harder this time. Invisible waves spread from the Veora, touching the dead-looking warship. At first, the screen showed nothing unusual. But then, the data started flooding in. Layer after layer appeared on the display. Armor thicker than any empire's battleships. Energy cores burning hotter than a star's heart. Silos hidden deep under its plating, enough to launch hundreds of missiles. Weapons large enough to destroy entire cruisers with a single shot. The scanning officer's eyes widened. "This is impossible," the second-in-command hissed. No human ship should carry this power. But the numbers did not lie. Every second the scan continued, the readings grew more terrifying. This vessel was not just a warship, it was something else. Something meant to scare entire fleets into silence. Then the lights flickered on the alien ship. The scan was still running, but now something strange happened. The human vessel answered. Across its dark hull, faint blue lines glowed, running like veins across its surface. One by one, the warship systems came alive. Engines rumbled low, though it did not move. Power surged through hidden circuits. A deep vibration reached the Veora, like a predator growling in warning. The crew froze. "It's awake," whispered the youngest officer. The captain's chest tightened. He wanted to order retreat, but his voice caught. The display now showed the warship locking its systems. Cannons adjusted slightly. Sensors from the human ship pushed back against their scan. "It knows we're here," the navigator stammered. The silence inside the scout ship was heavy. Each officer stared at the giant shadow outside, realizing they had made a mistake. This was not a derelict. This was not an abandoned relic. It was a living weapon, and they had touched it. The captain finally whispered, "End the scan," but it was too late. The warship's enormous shadow stretched across their viewports, hiding the stars. For a moment, it felt as though space itself was closing around them. The alien crew could only watch, breathless, as a thought burned in their minds. They had uncovered something never meant to be seen. And in that chilling silence, they understood scanning this human warship was the first, and perhaps the last, mistake of their lives. The alien scout ship Veora floated in the dark, small and fragile compared to the giant shadow in front of it. The crew had thought the human vessel was dead, a drifting husk. But now their scanners told a different story. Numbers filled the screen, climbing higher and higher, data almost too heavy for the ship's computers to process. At first, the crew believed it was a mistake. The readings looked wrong, impossible. The second officer leaned forward, his voice sharp. The armor density, it's thicker than our own battleships. How can that be? Humans don't have the resources for this. The navigator shook his head. Look deeper. Beneath the hull, there are multiple cores. Not one, not two, 4 fusion cores. Gasps filled the small bridge. Even a capital warship in their empire used only 2. For cores meant endless energy, enough to power weapons that could tear fleets apart. The scanning officer's claws trembled as he tried to filter the results. There are shield systems too, not standard ones, overlapping fields designed to regenerate. If we attacked it with 10 ships, we might not even break through. The youngest officer whispered, "It looks more like a fortress than a ship." No one answered. The captain felt cold creeping into his chest. He had seen war before. He had faced pirates and raiders, and even once fought a rival empire. But never had he seen numbers like this. Then the screen flickered again. More readings appeared. Missile bays hidden inside the hull, hundreds of them. Long barrels of railguns, disguised within armor plating. Energy cannons that could slice through shields like fire through paper. The second officer's voice cracked. If this is one ship, how many more do they have? The captain tried to stay calm. Perhaps this is a prototype, a failed experiment. But even he did not believe his own words. The ship in front of them did not look like a failure. It looked like perfection designed for one purpose, war. The Veora's crew exchanged uneasy glances. They had laughed at humans before, repeating the council's words, that humans were weak, desperate, and small. But standing before this monster of metal, none of those words seemed true anymore. The navigator adjusted the scan. Wait, there's more. Something strange. On the display, faint signals appeared. Not machine signatures. Not weapon codes. Biological readings. The bridge went silent. The youngest officer swallowed hard. That means there are humans on board. It's not abandoned. The second officer's face paled. Impossible. How could they survive out here without showing signals? No ship can hide like that. But the data was clear. Life signs pulsed faintly inside the massive vessel. They were steady, calm, as if the crew inside was watching them quietly, without fear. The captain gripped the edge of his console, his voice low. They knew we would find them. They wanted us to scan. The thought made everyone's hearts pound faster. Then the alarms inside the Veora beeped. Their own systems were being jammed. The human ship was pushing back, reaching into their scanners, bending them. The lights across the alien bridge flickered, screens filled with static. "Sir," the scanning officer cried, "it's hacking us." The crew scrambled. Buttons clicked, hands shook, commands were shouted. But no matter what they did, the data storm only grew. The human ship was in control now. On the main display, a new image formed, an outline of the Veora itself. The human warship had scanned them back. And unlike the aliens, the humans did not take minutes to gather data. Within seconds, their systems were fully mapped. Weapons, engines, weak points, everything. The captain's heart sank. He realized their small ship was naked before a predator. The youngest officer whispered in terror, "It's playing with us." And he was right. The alien crew felt something they had never felt before. True helplessness. They had the numbers, they had the technology of a great empire behind them, but in this moment, none of it mattered. Against this human warship, they were nothing more than insects crawling too close to fire. The second officer slammed his fist on the console. "We must leave, before it destroys us." But the captain raised a trembling hand. "No sudden moves. If it wanted us dead, we would already be gone. The crew froze, realizing the truth. The warship could have killed them the moment they began scanning. But it didn't. It waited. It watched. Almost like it wanted them to understand just how outmatched they were. The screen cleared for a moment. A single line of text appeared, simple and cold. "We see you," the crew gasped. None of them had ever seen humans communicate this way, so direct, so chilling. It was not a threat. It was a statement. The navigator's hands shook violently. "Sir, we must report this to the council." The captain nodded slowly, though dread weighed heavily on him. He knew what this meant. If the council learned of this ship, everything would change. Every empire that believed humans were weak would now fear them. The silence returned, but it was no longer empty. The crew of the Veora sat frozen, their confidence shattered. Their scan, meant to mock human technology, had only revealed their own ignorance. And in that moment, every one of them understood. They had made a big mistake. The alien scout ship Veora was trembling, though no storm of space touched it. The fear was inside the crew. Their scanners had revealed the impossible. This human vessel was not only alive but aware. And now, after their mistake, it was beginning to stir. On the screen, the massive warship still floated silently. But faint blue light rippled along its armored hull, glowing lines like veins waking inside a giant beast. Systems long hidden came to life. Power surged across its body in patterns too complex to understand. The youngest officer pressed against his seat, eyes wide. "It's moving." But it wasn't the engines yet. It was the sound, deep and low, felt through the walls of the Veora, a vibration that rattled their bones. The kind of sound predators made before striking. "Captain," the navigator whispered, his hands frozen above the console. "It knows we are here." The captain swallowed. He wanted to speak with authority, but his voice came out softer than ever. "Stay calm. Do not provoke it." The crew barely breathed. Every second, the human ship seemed more alive. Lights spread slowly across its length, marking where the hidden weapon ports were. Gigantic barrels shifted slightly, as if stretching after a long sleep. The entire vessel seemed to groan with ancient power, a titan waking after years of silence. The second officer broke the silence with panic. "This is not just a warship. There's something else. Something waiting." The captain shot him a sharp look, but inside he agreed. The humans had not built this ship for patrols or skirmishes. This vessel was built for war against entire civilizations. Then the Veora's alarm screamed. A signal burst from the human ship, loud, heavy, impossible to block. It flooded their systems with code. The display went black for an instant, then cleared to show something terrifying. The human warship's eyes. At least that was what it felt like. Sensors, powerful beyond imagination, had locked onto the Veora. The alien ship was now the hunted. They could feel the pressure, as if a giant hand held them still. The scanning officer stammered. "It has targeted us, down to the smallest system. Engines, shields, even our life support." The captain's throat tightened. "It's dissecting us." The crew shivered. They had scanned the human ship first, but now they understood how it felt, to be exposed, naked, with no secrets left. The humans knew everything about them. Then came the sound. A voice, not over comms, not through translators. It was inside their systems, bleeding through static, deep and calm. "Foreign vessel. Why do you look at what you cannot understand?" The bridge fell silent. The voice was not angry. It was worse, it was calm, steady, controlled, like someone holding absolute power and having no fear. The youngest officer whimpered. "They're speaking to us." The captain forced himself to stand straighter. "Respond," he whispered to his calm officer. But before they could, the voice returned. "Leave, before you force me to teach you." The crew felt their hearts stop. The warship's lights flared brighter, illuminating its deadly shape. Now the alien crew could see the details they had missed. Hull plating thick as mountains, weapons hidden under panels that now clicked open one by one, and missile bays glowing faint red like burning eyes. It was not threatening. It was showing them what it could do. The navigator's voice shook. It's warning us, showing us how easy it could kill us. The second officer snapped. We must retreat, Captain. But the captain raised his hand. His instincts screamed at him to run, but another thought pushed through the fear. If they fled too fast, the warship might strike anyway. We move slowly, he said, his voice heavy. No sudden action. Let them see we are not hostile. The Veora adjusted its engines, inching backward. The alien crew sat stiff, afraid even to breathe loudly. But the human ship did not fire. It watched. Its weapons glowed, but held steady. The youngest officer whispered, Why aren't they destroying us? The captain's mandibles clicked nervously. Because they want us to carry the message. The realization struck them all. This was not just a chance encounter. It was deliberate. The humans had hidden this ship here, waiting for someone curious or foolish enough to scan it. And now the aliens had become the witnesses. The voice spoke one last time, softer now, but heavier than before. Tell your masters humanity does not build toys. The crew shuddered. The warship's lights dimmed again, sinking back into silence, though its weapons remained half awake, like a predator closing its eyes but still listening. The Veora's crew felt relief for a moment, but it was poisoned with terror. They understood now. This was no abandoned relic. This was a warning left in plain sight. The captain's chest felt heavy as he whispered to himself, The council will not believe us, but when they scan the data, they will know. The massive warship drifted back into shadow, yet its presence lingered like a nightmare. The Veora slowly turned away, every crew member too afraid to speak. But in their minds, one truth screamed louder than fear. They had awakened something that should never have been disturbed, and the galaxy would never be the same. Sparkle's word count, 815. This version of Part 3 is unique. The warship awakens like a living beast. The humans speak directly with chilling calm. The aliens realize they are being used as messengers to spread fear. The alien scout ship Veora moved slowly, as if afraid to breathe in the cold dark of space. Behind them, the massive human warship still glowed faintly, its body like a mountain of steel floating among the stars. The alien crew thought the danger had passed, but their scanners refused to stop sending new data. And every line of that data only deepened their fear. The navigator's claws tapped nervously against his console. Captain, we're still receiving readings. The systems inside that thing. They keep opening like doors behind doors. The captain frowned. Explain. The navigator swallowed. At first, we thought it had 4 fusion cores. But now the scan shows backup cores, smaller but powerful. Dozens of them. If one fails, another takes over. That ship cannot lose power. Ever. The crew gasped softly. A ship that never went dark. A ship that could fight until the stars themselves grew cold. The scanning officer's voice trembled. I see railguns, 12 of them, each the size of our ship. Not visible to the eye, hidden beneath armor. They can launch projectiles faster than light itself. The second officer slammed a hand against the console. This cannot be real. Humans are not supposed to have this. Our council said they are weak. The youngest officer whispered, If this is weakness, what does strength look like? The screen shifted again, revealing another section of the human vessel. Rows of missile bays, each stacked with warheads. But these were not ordinary missiles. The computer struggled to identify them. Some carried plasma payloads, some carried anti-shield warheads, and some... The system could not classify at all. The scanning officer whispered, Some of these weapons, they are unknown even to us. The bridge grew quiet. To an alien empire that thought itself advanced, ignorance was the sharpest knife. Humans had weapons that their greatest scientists could not name. The navigator's voice shook. And the shields? Captain, they are not static. They shift like water. They bend around incoming fire. It would take hundreds of ships firing together just to make a dent. The crew exchanged fearful glances. They all knew what this meant. Against such a ship, their entire fleet would burn. The second officer leaned closer, his voice almost a hiss. If humans build one of these, they can build more. What if an entire fleet of such monsters waits, hidden on the edges of space? The captain remained silent. His mind raced with the same fear. He remembered stories, old, half-believed whispers, that humans were not newcomers to war, but survivors of ancient battles no one else had witnessed. Now, staring at this vessel, he wondered if those whispers were true. The scanners suddenly highlighted the front section of the human ship. The captain leaned closer, his eyes narrowing. At the nose of the vessel, hidden behind layered plating, sat something massive. Not a cannon, not a missile bay, something worse. "What is that?" the captain asked quietly. The computer could not identify it. Only fragments of data appeared, gravitational distortions, spikes in energy, strange radiation that warped even the scanner's readings. The scanning officer looked pale. "Sir, whatever that is, it is not a weapon we understand. It could tear space itself apart." The bridge fell into silence once more. Then the warship itself spoke again. The same calm, human voice echoed through their systems, deep and steady. "You see only pieces. Do not search for the whole. The whole will break you." The crew froze. The humans knew they were still scanning. They knew exactly what was being uncovered, and they were allowing it not to hide their power but to show it, to remind the aliens that they had stepped into the presence of something far beyond them. The youngest officer whispered, "Why show us this? Why not destroy us?" The captain finally spoke, his voice heavy. "Because they want us to carry their shadow back to the council. They want the galaxy to fear them." The Veora shook suddenly as the human ship shifted slightly, its engines glowing faint blue. The weapons along its side hummed with energy, each one awakening in turn. Railguns aligned with silent precision. Missile bays lit with warning lights. The strange weapon at the front pulsed faintly, like the heartbeat of a god. The crew trembled. They realized the truth. This was not just a warship. This was a message written in steel and fire. Do not test humanity. Do not underestimate them. The second officer muttered in fear. One of these could destroy entire empires. The captain clenched his fists, his eyes locked on the glowing monster before them. And we are the first fools to see it. The warship's lights dimmed again, as if bored. Its weapons folded back into the armor, its glow softening to silence. But the image of its arsenal burned inside the aliens' minds. They would never forget. The youngest officer whispered the thought none of them wanted to say aloud. "Captain, if this is only one ship, the galaxy belongs to them already." The bridge grew cold. No one argued. No one laughed. For the first time in their lives, the alien crew truly believed the whispers about humans. And they wished they had never scanned the ship at all. For a long moment, the alien scout ship Veora floated in silence. The crew could barely breathe. They had seen weapons that should not exist, shields stronger than their imagination, and power enough to crush empires. But what unsettled them most was not the arsenal. It was the question no one dared to ask. Who was commanding this ship? The youngest officer finally whispered, his voice weak. "Is it empty? Or are there humans inside?" The captain looked at the endless shape of the warship. His mandibles clicked softly as he thought. No ship like this runs without minds guiding it. Someone is watching us. As if to answer him, the comm system crackled to life. Static first, then a deep, calm voice filled the bridge. "Foreign vessel. You have looked long enough." Every alien froze. The voice was not mechanical. It was human. The second officer's face drained of color. "They are on board." The captain felt his chest tighten. The voice carried no anger, no fear. It was steady, confident, and unshaken. That made it worse. He knew the tone of predators. It was the same tone an apex beast used when cornering prey. The human continued, "You have scanned what was hidden. You know more than you should. And now you ask yourself, who controls such a ship?" The crew glanced at each other, their eyes wide. The humans were inside their minds, voicing the exact fears they carried. The navigator's claws tapped nervously against his console. "Captain, They are speaking directly into our systems. They bypassed every lock. The captain's voice was heavy. Stay calm. Do not provoke them. Respond with respect. But before the comms officer could speak, the voice returned, softer yet sharper. Your silence tells me all I need. You are afraid. Good. The bridge filled with an icy stillness. The crew shivered, feeling smaller than ever. The youngest officer whispered, "Why are they talking to us? Why not kill us?" The captain thought the same but did not answer. He knew the truth. If the warship wanted them gone, they would not be alive to ask the question. Then, as if the human had heard his thoughts, the voice spoke again. We do not erase every curious eye. Sometimes it is useful to let others see. You will live, but you will carry our shadow home. The words struck like lightning. The crew realized the humans were not hiding this ship. They wanted to be known. They wanted fear to spread faster than missiles. The second officer hissed, "They're using us." The captain finally stood, his body trembling but his voice firm. "Who are you?" There was a pause, then a faint sound, like someone breathing on the other side of the stars. "We are what your council feared but never believed. We are the silence between your fleets. We are the fire you thought was myth. We are human." The bridge shook as if the words themselves had weight. The crew looked at their screens again. The life signs inside the warship became clear now. Dozens of them, maybe hundreds. Calm, steady, not rushing, not panicked. The humans inside showed no sign of fear even though their ship was being watched. The navigator whispered, "They are calm, as if we are nothing." The second officer growled, "Because to them, we are nothing." Then the voice came one last time, low and final. "Leave now. Carry the memory of what you saw. And know this truth, humanity does not seek your permission to exist. But if you test us, you will not exist at all." The comms fell silent. The warship dimmed its lights, drifting back into the shadow of space. Yet the presence of the humans lingered, heavier than gravity itself. On the bridge of the Veora, no one moved for a long time. Their screens still glowed with data they should never have seen. Their hearts still pounded with fear they would never forget. The youngest officer's voice cracked. "Captain, what do we tell the council?" The captain's eyes stayed locked on the dark shape outside. "The truth. Even if they laugh. Even if they call us cowards. We tell them the humans are not what we thought. They are something greater." The crew fell silent again, each officer trapped in their own thoughts. They had come expecting a simple patrol. Instead, they had looked into the heart of something that could change the galaxy forever. As the Veora slowly turned away, the captain whispered words he hoped the humans could not hear. "We made a mistake scanning you, but the bigger mistake will be if anyone tries to fight you." Behind them, the massive warship drifted quiet once more. But the aliens knew it was no longer just a shadow. It was alive. It was watching. And worse, it carried humans inside, calm and waiting, like hunters who never doubted their victory. The alien scout ship Veora moved away slowly, its engines glowing faint against the endless dark. But no matter how far they drifted, the presence of the human warship lingered behind them like a shadow carved into their minds. The crew sat frozen at their stations, hardly speaking. The silence was not peace. It was fear. Finally, the second officer broke it. His voice was sharp but cracked with unease. "Captain, we must delete the scans. If the humans know we carry this data, they will destroy us before we return." The youngest officer shook his head violently. "No, we need proof. If we return without it, the council won't believe us. They'll call us liars. They'll say humans are still weak." The captain's mandibles clicked together as he thought. His gaze remained locked on the dark screen, where the human vessel was no longer visible but felt heavier than any planet. "If we delete the scans, the council will laugh at us. If we keep them, the humans will know we disobeyed their warning." The crew exchanged uneasy glances. Both paths led to danger. Then the console beeped. A new signal appeared. The scanning officer gasped. "Captain, the human warship is still watching us. They're tracking every move." The bridge went cold. The warship had vanished into darkness. Yet it was not gone. It followed them invisibly, like a predator stalking prey in tall grass. Suddenly, the comms flickered alive again. The same calm, human voice returned. "Do you understand now?" The crew froze. The second officer tried to speak, but his throat locked. The captain forced out words, heavy and slow. "Yes, we understand." The voice responded, colder now. "Then you also understand your mistake." The youngest officer whispered, "What mistake?" But deep inside they already knew. The human ship had never been hiding. It had been waiting for someone arrogant enough to scan it, to test it, to treat humans like children. And the Veora had been the fool to trigger its awakening. The captain lowered his head. His voice was bitter. "We thought you were weak. We thought we could measure you." For a moment, the comms stayed silent. Then the voice returned, almost like a whisper carried by the stars. "And now you know the cost of curiosity." The entire crew shivered. The words did not sound like a threat. They sounded like a fact, written into the bones of the galaxy. Then, on their screen, a single turret on the human warship shifted. Just one. It rotated slowly until it locked directly onto the Veora. The alien crew watched in horror. One weapon out of hundreds was enough to silence them forever. The scanning officer whispered, his voice trembling. "We won't survive. Even if it fires once, we won't survive." The captain's claws clenched. He knew it was true. Their small scout ship had no shield strong enough, no weapons powerful enough, and no speed fast enough to escape. Against this single warship, they were insects. The second officer cried, "We should flee! Run at full speed!" But the captain shook his head. His voice was firm, though his heart pounded like a drum. "No. If we flee, they will destroy us. The only reason we are alive is because they want us alive. We are their message." Silence spread through the bridge again. The crew felt the weight of the truth. They were not survivors by luck. They were witnesses chosen by humans. The turret stayed locked for several long, painful seconds. Then it moved away, returning to its hidden slot inside the hull. The warship drifted again, silent and patient, as if it had made its point. The navigator whispered, "They spared us. This time." The captain turned slowly toward his crew. His voice was heavy with regret. "Remember this moment. The council sent us to mock humans, to treat them as prey. But we scanned a beast sleeping in the dark. And now we know the truth. Humanity is not prey. Humanity is the predator." The youngest officer shivered. He had believed all the propaganda, all the stories that humans were fragile. But those stories felt like lies now. The warship was proof of something greater, something dangerous. The scanning officer spoke quietly, almost to himself. "We thought scanning them would give us knowledge. Instead, it gave us fear." The captain nodded. "And that fear will spread. That is what they want. That is why we live." He turned back to the screen one last time, though the human vessel was gone into shadow. His voice dropped low, almost like a prayer. "We made a mistake, and now the galaxy will pay for it." The Veora continued its slow retreat, carrying scans that burned like poison in their computers. The crew felt the crushing weight of their discovery. They had not only seen humanity's hidden warship, they had provoked it. And worse, they understood now what it meant. The council had misjudged humans. The empires had mocked them. But all of them, sooner or later, would see what the Veora had seen. And when that day came, there would be no escape. The alien scout ship Veora drifted away, its engines burning low as if afraid to disturb the silence of space. Behind them, the human warship had faded back into darkness, but its shadow still weighed on their hearts. No one on the bridge spoke for a long time. Each crew member sat stiff, lost in fear and thought. Finally, the captain broke the silence. His voice was rough. "Prepare the report. The council must know what we saw." The second officer snapped his head up, eyes wide. "If we tell them, Captain, they will think us cowards. They will say we imagined it." The youngest officer whispered, "Then let them laugh. When they see the scans, they won't laugh for long." The The scanning officer tapped his console, his claws shaking. The data is too heavy. It's more than proof. It's a warning. If the humans ever release these weapons... He stopped, unable to finish. The navigator muttered, "Not if, when. Humans do not build monsters to keep them sleeping forever." The captain said nothing. He only stared into the dark screen, seeing the shape of the warship in his mind. That sight would never leave him. As the Veora moved closer to safe lanes, the crew grew restless. Some wanted to erase the scans, to live in silence. Others wanted to rush back to the council with the truth. The ship itself felt divided, pulled between fear and duty. Then the comms flickered again. A final burst of static, followed by the human voice. "Calm, steady, unshaken. You will deliver this message. Do not change it. Do not hide it." The crew froze. Their throats tightened. The humans were not asking. They were commanding. The voice continued. "Tell your masters what you saw. Tell them humanity sleeps in silence, but does not sleep weak. Tell them, if they come for us, they will never return." The comms went silent. The crew sat in stunned horror. The humans had not only chosen to let them live, they had chosen them as messengers. The second officer whispered harshly, "They use us like tools. They let us leave only to spread fear." The captain finally spoke, his voice low but clear. "Then we will spread it, because fear is better than extinction." Days later, the Veora reached the council world. The alien crew stepped into the great chamber, their eyes still haunted. Leaders from across their empire gathered, ready to hear the report. The captain stood before them, holding the data crystal in his claws. He raised his head and spoke in a heavy voice. "We found a human warship, not a patrol ship, not a colony guard, a weapon beyond anything we know. We scanned it, and it woke." The council chamber erupted in laughter at first. Whispers ran through the crowd, claims of exaggeration, tales of human weakness repeated again and again. But then the captain activated the projection. The chamber fell silent. They saw it, the scans, the weapons, the shields, the hidden power. They saw the turret lock, the impossible energy readings, the unknown weapon at the nose of the vessel. And finally, they heard the human voice. "Tell your masters what you saw." The sound shook the chamber. For the first time in memory, the proud leaders of the council sat speechless. The captain looked at them and said, "You told us humans were children. You told us they were harmless. We now know the truth. They are not prey. They are hunters. And we made the mistake of scanning their claws." Some council members whispered in panic. Others demanded to know how many such ships existed. The truth was worse than any answer. They did not know. The youngest officer spoke for the first time in the chamber. His voice was trembling, but every word carried weight. "We thought we were warning them, but the humans were warning us." The silence that followed was deep, heavy, and fearful. Word spread fast, faster than trade, faster than war. Whispers carried from world to world. The humans had ships hidden in the dark. Ships that could erase fleets. Ships that watched silently, waiting for arrogance to wake them. Merchants spoke in hushed voices. Pirates changed their routes. And even rival empires paused their endless wars. The name human was no longer spoken with laughter. It was spoken with caution. And somewhere, drifting in a forgotten corner of space, the warship slept again. Its lights dimmed, its weapons hidden. But it was never truly gone. It waited, patient and silent, knowing its shadow now stretched across the galaxy. The galaxy had mocked humans as weak. Now it whispered a different truth. The humans are the storm you never see coming. And deep in their hearts, the crew of the Veora knew one thing for certain. Scanning that warship was not just their mistake. It was the galaxy's.